What's up, everybody? It's Conger Live. We're back again with another TMNT Mutant Madness video. In today's video, we're going to be having an early look at the upcoming power mutation. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Ninja kick that like button, and let's go get into it. Okay, here on the official Discord, this is the first time they've ever done this. There are 5 heroes on Power Boost for Dimension Clash this week. It's pretty insane that they're doing that. So let's find out who these 5 heroes are. First up, it's April, tried and true, great kit. I can see a lot of people using April this week. Super Irma. Wow, this is going to be really interesting to see since she was recently nerfed, but the nerf was not very significant. We'll see just how amazing she is this week with the power boost. And Casey Jones. Casey Jones, this is kind of your core, friends of the Turtles. Oh, Mutagen Man. Interesting. So Mutagen Man was mutated once, I think, shortly after he was released. And he had a bug. He was doing 0 damage. I don't think they ever addressed it or fixed it. They said, because they've removed the bug reports here on Discord, they said I had to create a support ticket for them to address it. And I make videos and content. You guys see it here. So, I'm not going to go through all that. Fix your game. And lastly, Hunter Casey. Okay, so we could be using Casey twice. So this would be interesting to see a full 5-man team. Is it going to be very synergistic? Maybe. Maybe you pick, a few of these. Hunter Casey was very good when he was on Mutation before, so I could see that definitely being used. I think April, Super Irma, and Hunter Casey, just off the top of my head, are going to be really great picks. Let's go look at their kits. Okay, here we are in my box. We're going to first open up April, because she's the first on the list. April's ambush interview selects an enemy at range 4, inflicts stun for 3 seconds, and inflicts stun for 3 extra seconds to enemies under -20 will. So any way you can strip will, really going to make April's stun amazing. 6 seconds is just such a long time in this game. Target all other allies, give 15 alertness for 3 seconds, 25 extra alertness for 6 seconds to allies under -25 alertness. Target all enemies, inflict -75 alertness for 3 seconds. Now they supposedly had fixed, because when they write these things, it's in the order of operations is basically how it's written, but the extra alertness and the 15 alertness, that should trigger at the same time, because what was happening before they fixed that bug is that it would give the 15 alertness, and then they wouldn't be under -25, they wouldn't get the extra 25. So those should happen, that plus 40 potential alertness should happen all at once. That's if they fixed it. Breaking news. Target enemy, inflict -40 haste and -40 alertness for 6 seconds. Inflict -40 armor for 6 seconds to targets at or above 40 armor. And do the same for barrier. So this is really nice to kind of mitigate any extra protection they have. And targets all allies at range 3 and gives them some defense. This happens every 5 seconds, which is pretty quick for an auto skill. So it's nice to see that she's using this quite often. Her informed public passive, after an enemy uses a skill, she gives defense to all allies above 0 alertness. After an ally uses a skill, inflict -2 armor and barrier for 6 seconds to all enemies if that ally is above 10 alertness. So she gives that alertness, which is nice, but with the enemy April also stripping alertness, not sure how often this is going to trigger. It's really going to be situational. Her power of the press passive gives 12 will to all allies within range 3 if not stunned or silenced. Inflicts -20 will to all enemies within range 3 if not stunned or silenced. So this is really cool. The opposite April, so it ends up being a -8 net if you have April versus April. So, and we want to be able to boost that will or strip that will depending on what you're doing. So really interesting to see how that's going to work this week. And then what a scoop, gains tons of defense and 15 will for 8 seconds. Target another ally, they get the same, and they also get 75% resistance to silence for 8 seconds. Gain and give 15 extra will to targets under -10 will. So this is gonna basically get them up to 20 will if they're at -10. And that happens every 10 seconds. Really interesting happening there with April. She got a really great solid kit. Her hand camera equipment skill is after using a skill, inflicts negative defense to all enemies. Stripping all that defense is really, really nice skill. Okay, so second up was Super Irma. Super Irma, super powerful. She does tons of damage, deals 25k almost right there. Inflicts disarm for 3 seconds, inflicts extra damage, and inflicts disarm for 2 extra seconds to targets at or above 10 armor. Really, really huge. That can hit everybody. You know, nice big AoE right there that magnetize. Very, very strong. Her anti-magnet beam targets all enemies in a line at range 5, deals energy damage, inflicts disarm for 3 seconds, inflicts negative 50 strength for 6 seconds to targets above 50 strength, and does the same for focus. So similar to how April strips the barrier and the armor, if they are boosted, Irma is going to strip their strength and their focus if they're boosted. So really, the two of them really balancing the playing field, so to speak. This happens every 6.25 seconds, which is fairly quick, not as fast as April's, but yeah, really, really nice. Repelling force when attacking deals extra damage per other hero at range 1 of the target. So she really likes tanks and brawlers to be up against who she's attacking. She inflicts negative 30 haste to enemies at range 2 if not stunned or silenced, and gains 30 haste per enemy at range 2 if she's not stunned or silenced. So you can keep her from being stunned and silenced. She's going to attack faster and reduce the attack speed of the enemy. Her metal manipulation passive gains 25 armor per other hero at range 2 and gains 25 extra armor per other hero at or above 10 armor at range 2. Inflicts negative 0.3 haste and will to all enemies per armor they have. So this is really interesting how she's going to, between her and April together, this will manipulation, this armor manipulation, it's going to be really interesting to see kind of how it ends up playing out. And the anti-polarity field targets all enemies at range 3, inflicts negative 40 strength and negative 60 focus for 7 seconds, and gains defense and 10 focus for 7 seconds per hero at range 3. This happens every 8 seconds. So this focus bonus, she can get up to 40. It actually says per hero, so that includes the enemy. So if she's within range 3 of everybody, that's plus 90 focus. I think this is one of the reasons why she's able to do so much damage. You got to be 250 to get that, pretty sure. So very, very powerful tune. So her equipment skill is what was nerfed. They just cut it in half, but only the focus portion. She still gets 36 armor. Now it's 18 focus instead of 36 focus, and she still gets the 9 will. So she's still going to be doing lots of damage. A little bit less of a damage bonus, but she's getting so much focus from other areas. It's very nominal. So that is Super Irma. I still feel like she's very, very, very powerful, and with this mutation, she's going to be blowing people up pretty quickly. Next on the list was Casey Jones. Casey Jones has a really big physical hit. He's a little squishy, and there's one thing about his kit I'm not a huge fan of. We'll go over that. His hole in 2, he gains 60 armor for 2 seconds, selects an enemy at range 5, move next to them, deals physical damage over 2 hits, and deals extra damage to targets under 10 armor, and inflicts slow for 5 seconds. So the slow is like whatever, other than if it were to trigger some other effect. That's just how fast they walk. Now this select an enemy at range 5. He's going to choose the enemy closest to him on auto, but you can manually choose this, and he can dash across the board, which is really, really nice, but you have to play on manual to really get the most out of Casey, so you can target the person with the low hit points. But that's challenging for some players, and I understand why a lot of people won't do that. His passive Out of the Park targets an enemy at range 1, inflicts negative defense and negative 20 focus for 10 seconds, and deals physical damage. This happens every 7 seconds. So if you can manually target his special, make sure that he's up against like someone like say Irma, so that he can reduce their focus, reduce the amount of damage output that's coming from them. That would be nice. His Vigilante Fury after attacking enemy is, if will is at or above 0, gains 3 strength for 60 seconds. So if will is at above 0, I'm pretty sure it's his, unless it's the enemy's will. It's not clear. But he does stack his strength, and then for 60 seconds is a long time. So with April giving and stripping will, that should hopefully help him get a little stronger, do some more damage. Lawbreakers gain 20 armor and haste per enemy at range 1. This just helps him kind of stay alive and do a little bit more damage if he's getting surrounded by a bunch of enemies. But it's generally not enough to really make a difference. The haste is very, very nice. He doesn't have a lot of survivability in general, though. And his Gungala gains 50 strength and receives negative 70 alertness for 5 seconds. Target all enemies at range 1, inflict negative defense. So I don't like that he strips his own alertness. So people can't give him defense very much, and that's for 5 seconds. It's a long time. The 50 strength is great, but that negative alertness I think is too much of a detriment. This happens every 10 seconds, so it's basically like half the time he's unable to really gain a lot of defense. If you get him up to 250, targets all enemies at range 1 and inflicts negative 50 focus for 3 seconds. So once again, this is really going to help him combat those blaster heroes like Irma, but he's got to be standing right next to her for that to work. His equipment skill, we'll go ahead and equip all real quick to check out his hockey mask. He gains 30 armor, gains 60 strength if he's under 60% health. So once he takes some damage, almost half of his damage, he's going to have some more damage output, but because he's not a lot of hit points, armor, he doesn't have any barrier bonuses. I still feel, even though he gets that extra strength, it's going to be a little too late. That's just me. He's middle of the road. He's not horrible, but not the highest recommendation. Okay, going back into Mutagen Man, his release the mutagen, selects a line at range 4, target all enemies, inflict damage over 8 seconds, inflicts extra damage to targets under 10 barrier, and target all enemies at range 1 of the targets, inflicts slow for 3 seconds, and negative 40 strength for 6 seconds. So with the barrier balancing that's happening with April, I think it is, yeah, he should be able to get that extra damage over time out. But like I said, there was some sort of bug happening with him in some instances. I'm not sure why it wasn't working, and from what I heard in Discord, they never looked at addressing it. He was doing 0 damage when you check the after the fact. So if you use him, just be wary that bug could still exist. I don't think they ever addressed it. Yeah, but the negative 40 strength, that's nice for him. His Bindex delivery passive targets an enemy at range 3, deals physical damage, target all enemies at range 1 of them, inflict negative 40 will, barrier, and armor for 8 seconds, inflict negative 30 extra will, barrier, and armor to targets under 10 haste. So this is also really, really nice. Hopefully, what is it? Casey Jones will probably have more than 10 haste, but most of the other characters, Irma will probably have some extra haste unless you can strip it some other way. But reducing that will, that barrier, that armor, it's going to be very, very helpful. This happens every 5 seconds, which is pretty quick. And then his nerd brain power after attacking gains defense if the target was under 10 barrier, gains 5 haste for 30 seconds if the target was taking damage over time, which they should be with his special. But of course, if he's not doing any damage, if there's the bug, maybe it won't count that damage over time, even if it's on him. I'm not sure. And then gain 5 strength for 30 seconds if the target was rooted or slowed. And helping friends after an enemy at range 1 attacks another ally, give defense to that ally. So that's kind of nice. If he's up next to somebody who's taking damage, he can help them stay alive. Gains 15 strength and 25 haste for 5 seconds if the ally is under 50% health. So maybe having him up next to Casey Jones, that will help Casey Jones out. Maybe being with Mutagen Man. Not quite sure. I have not been impressed with Mutagen Man, and it's really, really kind of a bummer because of all the drama that came my way when I got him. Punch to the Guts, his final auto skill, is gain 200 armor and barrier for 4 seconds. Target an enemy at range 1, deal physical damage, inflict stun for 2 seconds. Happens every 8 seconds. Stun is great. Extra armor and protection, that's nice. That's going to reduce a lot of the damage he takes. But he will have the armor barrier stripped from, I think it's Irma, or April. We just went over those. So it's not quite 200. It's going to be like 160 based on those skills. And his equipment skill, his Bindex canister, he gains 2 will per enemy at range 1. All slowed or rooted enemies get negative 30 alertness. So there is some slowing happening from some of the other kits so far that we've looked at. Didn't see much rooting. The negative 30 alertness is nice. They're not going to get that defense. But really gaining the will per enemy at range 1, it's not enough. 2 will for maybe 2 or 3, so you're going to get, 6 will? I would like to see this for all heroes at range 1, so even the people next to his allies. That would make this more impressive, in my opinion. And finally, it's Hunter Casey. Where is Hunter Casey on my board? Goodness, he's down here. Okay. Hunter Casey. His Slayer Strike gains defense and 100 armor for 2 seconds. Selects an empty tile at range 5. Move there. Target all enemies in between. Inflicts negative 200 alertness for 2 seconds. Target the last enemy in the between. Deals physical damage and extra damage to targets over 50 strength. So this, even though it looks like, what, 9,000 physical damage, with his boosted, you got to figure that's going to be doubled, basically. He's dashing around, and he's doing tons of damage. This was very, very, very nice to see happening when we've used him on Mutation before. I think that this is still going to be very, very useful in PvP this week. His Prey-Sided auto skill targets an enemy at range 3, inflicts negative defense, inflicts negative 50 armor for 8 seconds to targets above 50 armor, and gains 108 haste for 4 seconds. So this haste here that he gets, which happens every 6 seconds for 4 seconds. So most of the time he is juiced. He is hitting basic attacks really, really quickly, which is really, really nice, which is helping him to get his ultimate off a lot more often, which is why he's just dashing all over the board, doing a decent amount of damage. His Monster Hunter, after attacking, gains defense, gains extra defense if the target was above 50 strength. He gains 40 strength if above 0 defense. He gains 40 extra strength if above 50% defense. So the more defense he's got, the more strength he's going to be having. So definitely want to be able to give him the strength or the defense so he can get that more damage output, which is really, really nice. And Into the Jaws gains 40 armor and haste per enemy at range 2. So not only does he give himself a bunch of haste from his earlier auto skill, he's gaining haste per enemy within range 2, so 1 or 2, which is a decent amount of enemies. So, you know, Casey's just doing a lot of quick attacks, boosting that meter to do his ultimate a lot. And when attacking, he deals extra damage per the target's strength, which is kind of like why he's this Monster Hunter, Into the Jaws, the stronger characters. Now, because there's going to be quite a bit of blaster heroes up this week, maybe not going to get a whole lot of that extra damage, but every little bit counts. That's if you get him to 225. And then his Heavy Bolt to target an enemy at range 4 deals physical damage, inflicts stun for 2 seconds, and negative 100 alertness for 6 seconds. This happens every 10 seconds, which is kind of slow. And if you can get him up to 250, he's going to inflict negative 200 haste for 6 seconds, which would basically nullify the enemy's Hunter Casey's haste boost if you're able to pull that off. Last but not least, his Hunter Crossbow equipment skill. After attacking, he gains 2 strength for 20 seconds, and whenever an enemy is knocked out, he gains some defense, which is really, really nice. So that 20-second plus 2 strength buff from his attacks, and with all the haste he gets, he stacks that strength pretty quickly, and within 10 or 20 seconds of the match, he's doing a lot of damage, which is why I feel like he's probably going to be one of the best heroes to use this coming week. Let me know what you guys think about these heroes. We got April, we got Super Irma, we have Casey, Mutagen Man, and Hunter Casey. Which ones are you going to use this week? Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to ninja kick that like button, subscribe for more content, and we'll see you in the next video.